Welcome back, everybody, to this next lesson in the TLDR of Life course. So far, I've been going through my first life domain of career that I've chosen and asking and answering and writing about a question of what do I currently believe about this life domain. And so I want you to go as deep as I am, as I'm writing over the course of days and weeks in my freeform journal, which is on my blog, which I will be reading through right now. And so I want you to go as deep as me here, if not deeper. So I will be continuing with part 3 and part 4 in this lesson, in this part 2 of this lesson on the course. Another aspect to the career life domain that I believe in is to do something that's never been done before. I didn't always believe this, but after starting to work at 2U, I realized we're aiming to do something that hasn't been done before. We're not just trying to do something better than what other people have done. We're trying to do it at a scale not seen before. And that's another reason that gets me excited to go to work. To achieve these things, though, we need to have inputs that others haven't had before. That means coming up with new ideas, building on others' concepts, and making it our own. There has to be the right balance between novelty and proven things, not just on a company strategic level, but tactically within my function and my specific role. I think my career for the rest of my life will be about doing things that have never been done before. I just know myself now that I place too high of an importance on novelty, that I'll find boring, things that have already been achieved. I'm just going to keep coming up with new ideas on a large company level, as well as for my role, and I'll get a chance to implement those. Which, this is another thing that I've come to believe about my career. That it's a place for me to try out and experiment with different concepts and ideas. If I have so many ideas for personal projects outside of work, then work is just a way to express my creativity in a defined scope. Right now, that just happens to be laundry and marketing and franchising. But I will always continue to push the boundaries on what I can experiment with and what I have to follow a process or system on. When I experiment, it's an expression of who I am. That's what I believe a career should be for anyone, an avenue to express their full selves. If you're in a position where you can't express your full self, then you're not able to reach your highest potential. The person that you become, the person that you can become. And sometimes it's not even recognizing that your highest self exists because of how numb you've become to how you've not only been able to fully express yourself. It feels like you're trapped in a system that you may not know how to get out of. If we can't express our full selves of 1/3 to 1/2 of our waking lives, then we're literally only being a fraction of the person we know we can be. That's why literally everyone goes into a profession. Literally everyone who goes into a profession or has their income stream matched with their passion, their happiness, fulfillment, and even other areas of their life improve also. Even if they're making less money, they're more grateful for that time they get to spend doing what they like to do. I have been on both sides of it, not being able to be my full self and being able to be my full self. I just look forward to the work days that much more compared to the weekends. Well, I look forward to each day equally. Monday's excitement level equals Friday's excitement level. That's what I believe it should always be like for me. When all the days are equal from that perspective, then I start to blur the lines between work and life. It's just all the same. My ideas personally infiltrate into my career, and thoughts from the workplace carry over into my life outside of the job. That's what I believe is best for me going forward as well. When I don't know the difference between work and play, it's just all one thing. One of my favorite quotes sums it up. The master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he is working or playing. To him, he's always doing both. From James Michener. Even now, when someone asks me what I do on the weekend, If I'm not traveling or anything, I'll probably say I'm working. Sometimes that'll be on 2U or Laundry Lab related stuff. Sometimes it's personal projects. But to me, it's just time and energy allocation, management, and investment. Another aspect that my brother told me when I was looking at applying for jobs was finding an industry or mission that resonates with me and find companies who have that mission and then apply there. That makes sense holistically now as well in terms of attracting the right type of organization into my career path. I truly believe now that if you have a vision and expectancy that it will happen, then it won't matter when it'll happen. It'll happen when it's meant to happen. The thing is, there may be other forces at play here if there isn't an organization that you're attracting. And that's that you may be on the path to creating one yourself. I believe that my current job at 2U will be the last position that I ever apply for again to be my main income source. I'm going to ride 2U Laundry Lab out hopefully until it successfully exits and then probably start my own thing. I may start my own thing on the side concurrently and see how that grows. And there may be a fork in the road that I'll have to choose between 2U and the side thing to become my main thing. That would be a good problem to have, but alas, I'm still always only in the present. A macro thing is about creating a job or even an industry as a whole. There are so many jobs out there that weren't there 10, 20, 50 years ago. So there are going to be even more careers out there in the market in the next 10, 20, 50 years that aren't a thing now. What I can do to prepare myself for those new jobs and industry is to acquire the skills and mindset necessary to capitalize on those new opportunities. Better yet, I can be one of those people and entities that creates those jobs and industries for others. I believe I'm adept at identifying patterns as well as incongruencies, both macro and micro. I can then apply that perspective to put myself in the right position to create those new opportunities. With this massive shift in creation of jobs also means, what this massive shift and creation of jobs also means is that there will be more and more people who have to be multi-careered instead of the typical mono-careered. It's not good enough to just be a master of one thing now. You have to have experience in many realms. So work is one way to get that experience. But what I do outside of that scope is also an amazing opportunity to get experience. What I'm doing now with creating content and now a course, and who knows what next, is putting myself in the right position to capitalize on the right opportunity. I'm preparing myself for a multi-careered career. One career in tech, one in marketing, one in teaching, one in content creation, and that's only at 25. Can you imagine when I'm 50? Oof. I believe that a career is an opportunity for me to look at something from the clouds as well as the dirt, especially now, as I'm building an organizational operating system, to look at something from a CEO level, and then simultaneously to look at something from a frontline employee level, like a driver, delivering and picking up bags of laundry. It gives perspective on how I play a part in making all that happen. That 30,000 foot view and the sea level view. Now, a lot of these beliefs may be agreeable or non-agreeable to what my parents and my generation and their generation think, especially as immigrant parents. They have a belief that a career is a means to an end of getting settled, having a family, raising kids, and then repeating that. That you have to sacrifice your dreams for the dreams of your children. And that may be an implicit assumption of me, my brother, and perhaps other people around my age. However, I don't necessarily believe that. If my parents sacrificed for my dreams, then isn't it my duty and responsibility to follow my dreams? If my ambitions are to help generations of people, then isn't that something that they can potentially accept if I don't follow a path that they would have taken? I don't believe in a 9-to-5 job. Yes, those may be the primary hours in the day when communication may happen with people who are in the same company. But work can happen before and after as well, on weekends as well. Again, if both parties consent to that, not just one forcing another, which creates a toxic work culture. But the lessons of a career and a job go far beyond the scope of that job. And the lessons of life from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. come into play from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's all interconnected and intertwined. I think part of my parents' beliefs in sacrifice is that a job was the way to provide for the family. That you had to sacrifice part of who you are to get food on the table. And I'd like to think I would have done the same thing if I was in their position. The position I'm in now, though, is different. if their duty was to provide a living, then my duty is to live. They may not have been able to express themselves fully at the workplace, but I've been afforded that comfort and luxury. So shouldn't I take advantage of that in the way that I see fit? They may see success and comfort with bigger established companies, but I may see stagnation and confinement. Where they see pride and prestige with brand names, I see boringness and bureaucracy. On the flip side, with smaller companies, startups, where they may see risk and failure, I see potential and opportunity. I see passion, purpose, and connectedness with smaller companies because I'm closer to the end customer, to the value that's being provided to someone. It's not just a way of acquiring money. It's an avenue for discovering who I am. I feel for my parents' generation because I feel many of them have at best put on hold and at worst not even known about finding about who they are, who they truly are. Isn't that the point of life? The first and the last question of life. Who am I? I have the luxury of taking time and energy to rediscover the answer to that question. I want to capitalize on that. I don't want to just be a part of an existing brand name. I want to help build one. And ultimately, I want to lead something that is created and has massive success. I want to build something not just new, but something that lasts. That's legacy. I want to take the ideas from my mind and intuition and bring them to fruition. There are also so many solopreneurs, freelancers, and small businesses these days. And I think there will only be more and more of those. There will also be fewer and fewer companies, conglomerates at the top that just absorb all these smaller ones. Side note, it's actually like the quote about specialization. Knowing more and more about less and less until you know everything about nothing. So how does that relate and translate? That there will be small businesses and solopreneurs that encompass literally everything, every job, industry, etc. The bigger companies will essentially own every process and product and service. But the one thing that companies will never own are the people. They'll create systems to understand everything about the person on the outside and even on the level of the intellect. But only the person will truly understand themselves on the inside. And so I believe I have to create a system where understanding who we each truly are is the main and ultimate purpose. That's what I believe about my career. And part 4. LOL, thought I'd wrap this one up, but thought of some more things. Where we physically work is also a thing, like the city, the office, workspace, pace, place, space. The vibe of the city that I'm working in has to match my vibe. I believe in my career that I've continued to gravitate towards Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, like the ones that I've lived in my life. Kansas City, Austin, Atlanta, Charlotte. These are growing cities that are obviously big enough to be cities and have lots of things to do, but don't feel like I'm trapped or lost in a huge place like New York or LA. I might want to even try living and having a career in more remote places that are more in nature, like Boise, Portland, Asheville, etc. My career is not tied, or at least I don't think it should be tied to any specific city or place. I don't want it to be limited. Online connection has enabled that so much in my life, and I don't see that going anywhere anytime soon. My actual workplace also has to be a welcoming one. I believe that I have to be in comfort and at ease physically to tap into my highest mental, emotional, and spiritual states. There has to be calm, because if people around me are panicked, stressed, anxious, then none of us are going to be able to do our best jobs. On the topic of remote work, which has been on the forefront accelerated with COVID, I believe in having a career where both remote work is possible and even sometimes expected, as well as meeting together physically also occurs frequently enough and naturally. I believe the balance I have right now with 2U is good, where most of the people I interact with are in Charlotte, but we also have the flexibility to work from home or remote when we want to. I like the office though to come into, especially on the weekends, because usually no one else is there. I can get focused, deep work done without any distractions, whether that's 2U work or personal. I basically want this flexibility in the future, though I believe I'd be open to working remote fully if the opportunity presented itself. I just can't work from home and in the same spot the entire day repeatedly. I need to mix things up, like going to Barnes & Noble, coffee shops, office, my home, etc. The other thing here was as it relates to the actual workspace. For my career, I want to be able to make my desk customizable to what I'm feeling like. My chair has to be top quality, 2 to 3 external monitors, high quality mic, camera, video options, and more. I know I can't get that at third-party places like coffee shops and stuff, but at least at home and at the office that I have. This kind of actually all goes into my quality of life stuff, so I'll bookmark this for then. Another thing about my career is the topic of retiring. I feel like we've been sold this story of settling down, having a job, having a family, working until you're X age, and then enjoying your life in retirement. And my parents may have to think like that because of what they've had to sacrifice. And my parents may have to think like that because of what they've had to sacrifice. But I'm grateful enough to not have that be the main priority of getting settled and looking forward to retirement. I can enjoy every day of my life before then too. I believe that I'll never actually be retired. I'll always want to continue achieving things, ideating deeply, sharing my energy with others and more. That the older I get, I'll only have more to contribute to my community and to the world. Other people may see their life as a bell curve going up and then down during the retirement phase, but if I'm growing exponentially now, then the rate at which I'm growing and transforming will only continue to increase. So, long story short, I'll probably never officially be retired. Maybe technically so I can withdraw my investments, 401k, etc., but not mentally or emotionally, and certainly not spiritually. Another aspect here is money. I believe that whatever I need to live, I'll be given that much money. And that phrase is subjective. I may only need $200 to live a month in one place, or time in my life, or $3,000 a month, or $10,000 a month. It's all relative. Going back to a passage in Meditations, though, I should enjoy life when I have the means to do so, yet be equally grateful if and when I need to be more frugal and careful with how I spend my money. I'll be equally happy in all situations. Getting higher education is, I don't believe, for me. Now, that may change, but I am getting all this knowledge through my life experiences, basically for free. Why do I need to spend tens of thousands of dollars so I can be talked to and have assignments that I have to complete? I want to do the assignments that I create for myself. These projects and bold ideas that I want to make a reality. I don't want to get deeper into an established system whose value is only decreasing for someone in my position. I have to go beyond that system. I see value of learning from the professors at these institutions in areas where I have lots of interest. But I can do that outside the scope of the university. I view my podcast as a way to meet people I wouldn't otherwise have talked to learn about their life and thinking. Social media allows for that connection potential, so there's not as much use in a master's degree right now for me, for what I want to achieve. So, that was part 3 and 4 in this video. In the previous video, if you haven't listened to and watched it, I talked about part 1 and part 2 where I read those and kind of the assignment that and the homework for us of going deep, of answering the question of what do I currently believe about your first life domain. So my first life domain, as you saw, was career. So I've journaled about that over the course of days and a week, and I'll probably journal more about it later on, but for this course, I think this is a good stopping point. And in the next course lesson, we'll be talking about the next question that we want to answer. That'll go even deeper beyond this. So I'm looking forward to answering that question and journaling about it and learning things about myself that I didn't even know. So I hope you're excited as I am about this, and I will see you in that next lesson. Thank you.